Hey, what's up guys? My name is Moda and welcome back to the Mining Stacker YouTube channel. Today's video, we're going to talk about why you need to stop selling your damn Bitcoin to all these companies, these treasuries, these ETF holders. It's getting crazy, bros. Like, it's stuff that we kind of theorized or we thought kind of would happen or accelerate specific for this bull market, but it is on a whole new level. I'm going to talk about all the stuff that's going on recently. It's kind of just what's led into it, right? We're on a crazy path of hyper Bitcoinization that even me being super bullish not too long ago has me just like next level, especially on the long term, right? So we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about everything going on, just giving an update on just everything, bros. It is wild. Okay, so if that sounds good, guys, stay tuned. Let's get right to this thing. So it is starting to get borderline like out of hand. Like if you are not bullish on Bitcoin and crypto overall as a whole, like I don't really know what else is going to get you there, right? It pretty much started June 2023 is when we heard BlackRock coming into the game, right? We're going to reference this video from damn near 2 years ago. Just watch a little clip about it. So the biggest just kind of funny, like looking back then, is BlackRock's freaking ETF filing, right? So they're the world's largest asset fund manager, and they filed for an Bitcoin ETF. Everybody else is joining in now, right? They essentially flashed like the Batman signal, pretty much gave everybody the confirmation, like, all right, we're gonna follow, right? So BlackRock started it, followed by Wisdom Tree, Invesco, Deutsche Bank. And we can see this was kind of the beginning of it. It's kind of crazy that it's been, like, I thought it was only about a year ago. I didn't realize it was damn near 2 freaking years ago when this happened. Bitcoin pumped up to 29,000. Like, it's just wild to see how fast things have accelerated, right? Initially was bullish on the ETFs happening, eventually one day them getting approved, us going through. And again, we're talking specifically back in June 2023 about the 2025 bull market, how this would have such an impact. And here we freaking are. Like, it's gone to like the next level. Obviously, one of the biggest news stories just since 2021, MicroStrategy, right? So Michael Saylor, you can see how much the buying has accelerated specifically since like September 2024. It's just been wild, right? Even just going before then, March 2024, there were only 193,000 Bitcoin. They're at 568,000. This is just MicroStrategy. They literally, out of the 21 million supplies, is 2.7%. Okay, so in reality, out of the current supply, it's actually a little bit higher because that's factoring in all the complete emissions, which we're not there yet, right? It's just crazy to see how like fast it's accelerating. Okay, again, that's only MicroStrategy. Again, their most recent purchase back on the 12th, 13,000 freaking Bitcoin, $1.34 billion worth. It's massive. And then just we have all these other companies starting to do similar things, right? We even just had another announcement just today with Basil Medical Group announces exclusive negotiations for $1 billion BTC acquisition to enhance balance sheet and expand healthcare services in Asia. So on top of the ETFs, right, that's initially what we're bullish on, what kind of didn't see coming, right? We saw MicroStrategy doing their thing. These BTC treasuries are bringing everything to like a whole nother level, right? At this point, it's starting to meet or exceed the flows from the ETFs, which is mind-blowing, and it is coming at a rapid pace. Like literally just in the past few weeks, we've had a ton of big stories, right? So we've had similar ones like this, and we've seen more and more and more and more can continue to just pop up, right? One of the bigger ones we saw was with the new announcement with Nakamoto Holdings, which is David Bailey's newly founded company, and they merged with healthcare provider Kindly MD to create a global Bitcoin native treasury network, which is massive, right? And this is, again, these are people who know what they're doing. They are Bitcoiners. They've been in the game. They're going to continue. You even see freaking David Bailey's post about he wants to expand this like globally, not just have treasury companies here in the US, but for every country to have multiple of these things, right? So you can quickly see how this is going to just continue to expedite everything, okay? The other big news, Tether-backed 21 Capital, which is another massive one. They just purchased $458.7 million worth of Bitcoin. And it's the company that's backed by Cantor Fitzgerald, Tether, and SoftBank. And they purchased those 4,812 BTC. The firm is led by Jack Mallers, that already held a sizable $3.6 billion worth of Bitcoin in its treasury. And of course, what's going to happen here, right? We're going to see these things going on. We're going to see the egos happening. We're going to see who's trying to catch up to who. Like, it's just wild, bros, right? And we just saw not too long ago also GameStop, GME, now has $1.5 billion to splurge on a Bitcoin reserve after a private offering. So they are also going to be joining the fray. On top of that, just different countries we're going to continue to hear about doing more and more. The most notable being El Salvador, who is now currently up to 6,179 or 6.179 thousand. Okay, worth $642 million worth. Insane, bros, right? And they're just continuing. And we're even seeing it more on the global stage. We just saw this recently also in the Middle East. Saudi Arabia Central Bank acquires 25,656 shares of MicroStrategy, gaining Bitcoin exposure. And about $400 a share. That's about $10 million worth of an investment into MicroStrategy, which is essentially just Bitcoin, right? It's continuing to grow. It's going to continue to be a global thing. Then on top of that, right, so we have the ETFs, we have these treasury companies, not just here in the US, they're going to continue to go globally. Then we have strategic reserves, right? So we mentioned like El Salvador's stacking, and then even just here in the US, all of the states who have proposals in already and how many are being enacted and how many are pretty close to being enacted, right? We can see just how many have already gone in and how many are going to continue. This is going to definitely just continue, especially as we do our own strategic Bitcoin reserve for the US. Okay, the most notable one here, I think the one that has most people excited, is Texas, just because they are already bullish as fuck on Bitcoin. And then on top of that, just the size of the state. People kind of tend to forget how massive Texas is and their economy is, right? Not just in physical size, but just their overall impact on the global economy. Okay? If Texas were an independent country, its economy would rank 8th largest in the world, surpassing Russia, Canada, and Italy. This is just Texas, bros. With a nominal gross domestic product, so GDP of 2.7 trillion, Texas economy is second only to California among U.S. states and contributes to 9% of the U.S. GDP. Okay, so them doing a reserve is massive. Okay, and that's just one state, right? Figure all the other states, all the other countries coming, all the countries that are currently stacking, right? This is the thing. Back when BTC was at 75K, we're going to find out in the coming months how many countries were stacking, how many companies were stacking, how many nations. Is just going to be wild and just continuing like at a pace that's borderline ridiculous, right? And then we already know how scarce it is. We know that there's only a small amount that are being mined on the daily. The demand is grossly outpacing that. It is beyond ridiculous. So to kind of put it into perspective, right? So this is BTC Holdings in publicly traded and private companies, ETFs, and countries. Okay, the amount of total entities currently 133, 3.1 million BTC. Currently, 15 freaking percent of the supply is held by these entities. Mind blowing. And it is just continuing to freaking accelerate. Okay, ETFs alone are at almost 6.5% of the total overall supply. And again, that's not circulating supply, that's out of the all-time 21 million. Okay, it is getting crazy and it's only going to accelerate, which is what makes it even more mind-blowing, right? And at this pace, it definitely is changing things, right? We are starting to definitely see the narrative of this potentially being the end of the 4-year cycles. Although I do think it will continue, it will just potentially be on a lessened impact, right? As we've seen, there's a lot of correlations between like the global M2, the liquidity cycles, which also typically run on a 4-year cycle. So there's a lot of things at play. Like, do I think we're going to get like 80, 90% drops in the bear market like we have in the past? Because of the amount of entities that are going to be holding this, probably not, right? Again, currently as is, they have 15 freaking percent of the supply. To me, it's definitely going to potentially have an impact on the cycles, and that's why we've been so bullish and why we've been saying these past few years, this bear market, that chances are that this was potentially going to be the last one. And we were saying that even prior to all these treasury companies, right? So this is just definitely accelerating things. Okay, so as far as having these traditional 4-year cycles where we have these set rules and it's going to go down X amount every cycle, like I think a lot of that's going to be out the window. I think a lot of it still will apply with alts though, right? I definitely see alts struggling and getting these big drops in the bear market when we do have these down times, but potentially not as bad for Bitcoin, right? So at this point, do what you can to get what you can get. A lot of us, that's the overall plan, is we shitcoin, we do all these other things in order to achieve that Bitcoin, right? So just keep these things in mind. Keep in mind how scarce this stuff is going to be, and it's only going to get even more scarce. Like, it's just going crazy, bro. And it's something that's continuing to expand. We're even seeing it with some of the major alts. We're even seeing these things with like Salana, for example. Have seen quite a few companies now that are also doing this with Salana. So NASDAQ listed company hits major milestone as Salana Treasury tops $100 million. Publicly traded AI powered real estate platform DeFi Development Corp just hit a notable milestone. With its latest Salana purchase, the firm now holds nearly 600,000 SOL, valued at more than $100 million. And we've seen a few others. Pexi shares skyrocket over 600% after revealing Solana Treasury strategy. We're going to continue to see this, right? It's interesting that they're going to Sol, they're kind of bypassing ETH, and it's just kind of giving you that narrative, right? It's just definitely there's a lot more interest in Sol. Even as the ETFs come out sometime, hopefully this fall, winter, as we get like Solana ETFs, those are going to be extremely interesting, especially if you're able to get staking rewards on top of that, right? That's going to be a big sell definitely with Ethereum, but the fact that Solanas are like 2 to 3x that amount, it's going to be extremely appealing. Now, is it going to be enough to keep Solana's price action up even after a potential bear market? It's kind of a different story, right? They don't have the scarcity factor that like Bitcoin does, for example, or the rapid, accelerated, essentially race for Bitcoin, right? So it is going to be different. I'm not necessarily super bullish on any alts outside of this potential bear market or bull market, whether it goes and peaks at the same time, which would be sometime between like October, November, or if it extends. That's obviously starting to look like it's going to be the narrative. Whether it happens or not, it's really hard to say, right? We heard these discussions when you guys were here either last cycle or the one previously. We heard all these things, right? If you guys remember, everybody was adamant 100K Bitcoin, 100K Bitcoin. And that's why so many people freaking round tripped. Now, it's hard to say, right? It's definitely feeling the same thing. The difference this time, though, to me at least, it's not just speculation based, right? We were speculating, oh, maybe we're going to get that ETF. Oh, maybe this is going to happen. It's happening. It's not speculative. It is happening right now, right as we are seeing. We can see all the stats. We can see all the specs. It is happening, bros. So this is what definitely makes it different, right? So we're going to have to wait and see how it does affect things, how it does affect the potential peak, like what is going to happen here. Because obviously if this continues, we're not going to have that typical narrative where Bitcoin peaks and there's a sell-off of Bitcoin into altcoins. That's not going to happen if everybody's hoarding their Bitcoin as the digital gold. Okay, so definitely want to consider things like this when you're considering stacking your portfolio. Again, looking for those high confidence plays that have been doing well alongside Bitcoin, but most likely that's what it does seem like may happen, right? Bitcoin may go up to a point and kind of maybe plateau a bit, but I don't necessarily see a stop in people accruing Bitcoin. I don't necessarily see a sell-off. Might want to consider your strategies here, right? Really reconsider what you're holding. How confident are you in there? Like, take a look at these things, right? It's definitely feeling different, and we've seen a lot of other things, right? When we hit all-time high, like a lot of things have been different this cycle. People want to keep repeating that, oh, it's the exact same, we're on pace. We're not. Okay, we are now April 2025. Alts are definitely underperforming. Bitcoin is doing its thing. Bitcoin is doing right where it should be at. Alts are where it's different, right? And it's because of the change with Bitcoin. People aren't profit taking with Bitcoin and going into alts. Okay, so definitely look at the data, look at what's going on. It's hard to not be bullish here, bros, but at the same time, if you're a shitcoiner like myself or you're heavy into alts, you may want to look at this data and kind of think about things, right? Especially if you're heavy into super degen alts. Look at things, guys, but again, it's exciting. It is crazy. Like, it's just seeing everything, like news after news after news, even just small things, right? Like, even we just saw right now with Steak and Shake accepting Bitcoin nationwide, like things like that is just mind blowing. Like, if you're not seeing this, if you think the bull market is dead, we already peaked, it's over, you need to reevaluate things, right? Look at the data, not just narratives or following the cycle. Look at the data, look at what's happening, look how fast things are accelerating. Okay. So I just wanted to give you guys an update on how crazy this is. Like, let me know if you agree. Do you feel the same way? Do you feel this thing is over? Do you think it's all BS? Let me know in the comments. What do you guys think? Please comment, like, and subscribe, guys. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I am out.